Guys, we are gonna completely transform this F-350 in this video, and we're gonna take it from looking like this to this super sick lowered F-350 right here with some nice DDC wheels, a full lowering kit. We have a lot of work to do, so let's get to work. So one of the big parts of the transformation of this truck is the wheel and tire package. And right here on this pallet, we just got a fresh shipment of DDC wheels, and I am really stoked. So if you guys remember my F-450 that we did a giveaway on a couple months ago, we actually used a set of the Dually Design Co. is the company, DDC wheels on there. Looked absolutely sick. When Rudnick was out here, he bought a used set, put them on his truck. They look really sick. We're gonna go ahead and unbox these things and see what I got. So this is gonna transform this truck. I'm really excited for it. Let's look at that nice packaging. And we need to save this stuff for the eBay. So these are a 20-inch wheel. I was gonna go with a 22 initially, but they didn't have the right offset. Dually Design Co. does a lot of stuff with like lifted trucks where the wheels stick out a little bit further. So these are actually a 20-inch set that have a little bit different back spacing, so they'll sit pretty much flush with the truck, and that's pretty much the look that we're going for. Also, I think like kind of keeping it truck-ish, you know, with a bigger sidewall. These are 265 50/20 tires right here. One other awesome feature about these things is they're just a straight bolt-on. So if you ever get like an Alcoa style wheel for a truck or like a dually wheel, a lot of people, they'll take like a 22.5 and they'll machine it down to a 22, but then you have to have these big, heavy, really expensive wheel adapters to go from 8x200 to 10x225 or 10 by whatever semi lug pattern there is. So you just have a lot of things. These things literally come with lug nuts. They bolt straight on. They look really cool. Can't wait to get these things on, but now we just gotta head over to the tire machine, which is right there, and start slapping the tires on. Gluten-free brownies. Right here we have a ton of stuff to lower the truck. So these are what are referred to as dream beams, which is essentially a drop knuckle for the front of the F-350. So since this is a two-wheel drive truck, you don't have a solid live axle. So what it has is these guys, which essentially bolt up underneath the truck, kind of in a crisscross pattern, pretty much similar to this. So you go down the road and you hit bumps and you hit suspension, and these things are kind of heavy. But essentially what this does is takes the spindle right here. Normally it would be mounted, let's say parallel with this. Well, it actually brings it up about 3 inches to actually lower the truck without lowering the truck. So all of the factory suspension geometry, your factory coil spring, everything will bolt right on. The only thing it does is just move that knuckle up, so it drops it about 3 to 4 inches. So the next thing, it's gonna be a little bit more complicated, is the rear of the truck. For that, we actually have an axle flip kit from the factory. Here, you guys wanna see a Trev illustration? So here's your leaf spring, okay? And then here is your axle. So that is normal. So right now there's no way to lower the truck because you can't really take any like spring out of the leaf spring. You can adjust the shackle right here. Like you could take that shackle and make it like, you know, shorter and, you know, maybe lose like a couple inches. We need a drastic change because this thing needs to be lowered to like 7 inches in the back. So what we're actually gonna do is take that leaf spring and we're gonna flip the axle from on the bottom to in between it, and that's gonna give us like a 7-inch drop. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is a kit from DJM, and they say that it only works on a 2008 to 2011. I think in theory it should work from like 2008 to 2016. The axles seemingly to me are very similar, and we're gonna go ahead and try to put it on this truck and see if we can fit it, make it work. We're gonna flip the axle either way. I have a buddy who did a very similar setup on his truck, and he used like a universal thing and made it work. So this one already fits on the axle really nice. It has some bolts that go on it really good. So we're just gonna take you guys through the process, and we're gonna figure it out. And we're gonna get this thing freaking slammed on the ground, and it's gonna look really cool. So, gotta get to work. Oh, buddy. Wow. Flame that went out the door that looked like the whole shop was caught on fire.
You're my buddy. I wouldn't do you like that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so right here we have the factory beams, which are the non-drop beams compared to the dream beams. So you can see right here where the kind of the pin mounts, you have the level, but then you go right here, you have that looks about like 2 inches or so, but I think it ends up lowering the truck a little bit more than that, which is really good. So yeah, they already got one side on. I guess it's been kind of a big process because Sean and Eric have been out here like arguing and bickering back and forth, trying to set each other on fire, but it's coming along. So we have some pieces on the front, and then as soon as we're done with that, then we get to move to the back, which I'm excited about. I also have this thing. So this is kind of a C-notch kit off of Amazon for a Chevy truck. So looking in the back right here, if you see like how big of a fella, like once these things get flipped, the axle is literally gonna sit right here. But then once it gets lowered, you know, it's probably gonna run into this thing. So my friend who did this on his truck, he actually did like a little C-notch. So what I was assuming is, you know, use this piece right here, obviously cut, weld, modify, go on the back side of it, like that, like so, and then actually kind of like box in the frame over the C-notch, because that makes sense to me. We're gonna continue. All right, boys, so the front end of this thing is lower, and you could just tell, look how low it's sitting on the ground. Not bad, huh?
Nope, yeah.
Look at how low. Sean and Eric, they got here this morning and they started pulling off the bed. I think it's gonna be a little bit more extensive than just, you know, flipping the axle. I think we're gonna have to do the C-notch. We're gonna have to do some welding stuff. They already unbolted the bed, but the bed bolts look like they came out all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get this bed lifted off and set back over here. So that way we could get started on the whole axle flip process, and definitely having this thing out of the way. It's gonna make it really nice.
Yeah, way easier that way.
Way easier.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right, so we got the leaf spring removed out of here, and we lowered the truck just a little bit just to kind of give us an idea. So this is how that whole kit works. Essentially, instead of getting like another axle, what would you call that, axle mount? Right?
Yeah, like a perch.
Like an axle perch. So this one actually just bolts on. So you have this nice flat fella that goes here on the top, you bolt it, it goes on the bottom, and then you raise the axle up, you stick the leaf spring underneath it. After we remove this overload pack on the top, that gives us the look that we're going for. So you can see this guy has a little pin, so we just stick that right there. This little guy right here bolts onto the bottom, wham bam, there we go. So I don't know why they were saying this is 08 only.
Well, we're gonna find out at some point.
There might be something that we're missing
at some
here.
juncture, yeah, we're gonna.
The only thing I could see that's slightly different for me is that this pin is not in the center. If you look at this, pin's in the center.
We just need to make sure we orientate the lower ones the same.
We're gonna figure it out. I don't know if we need to C-notch or not, because we do have the lift shackles in the back. So do we have her slammed? Do we C-notch? Do we not C-notch? We're gonna find out. boys. So she's sitting down on the ground now. Front wheels are on, and I feel like that gap is pretty good. It's not too belligerent. The back is now sitting on the ground, but we have a little issue, huh? Take a look at this. Frame is touching the axle, and looking based upon the way that it's kind of got a little bit of a rake, the rear is lower than the front, and so that is where's the shackle. So right here with the kit, we were just curious, we wanted to see, but this will raise the rear probably another 2 inches or so, and I think we're still gonna have to do a little bit of a notch right there. Again, we're gonna add, you know, add some strength back in there, kind of like a little mini C notch with a box. She's definitely touching, but it looks freaking sick just sitting down this low, especially because, you know, the front always wasn't terrible, but the rear was just like stink bug really bad. So now that this thing is sitting down like this, and it's just crazy because look at that, like my shoe barely fits under the exhaust, and look how low the hitch is. Whereas before the hitch was just up here, so it probably lowered the rear like 12 inches, which is crazy. So we need to raise it back up a little bit with that and then go from there. Buddy, what are those? Those are them. Alright, the fella. That's yeah, I just got it loose for you. Oh, yeah. That's all it was. So these guys are just the rivets that go through to hold everything on. So what we ended up using was the HTP microcut. So this is our plasma cutter right here. We had about 30 volts on the expanded metal setting and just kind of sat back there and just like kind of torched it off, and it ended up working out pretty good. So you can see right there, it's about how she ended up looking. Everything came off really nice, and because we were torching onto this bracket, we didn't affect anything with the frame.
Always waiting on Eric. It's just like a joke?
No, just go away.
We gotta get... Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
We got spirit, yes we do. We got spirit, how about you?
Okay, nice. All right, we got two things. All right, so while I was gone for the week, I left Friday. We went camping with the kids. It was Jamie's birthday. I told her happy birthday. We had a good time. So I wasn't here on Friday or Saturday, and so Sean and Eric, they got this thing all C-notched right here. Is that a C?
So it's a W, half a W, or a U, or a...
It's a D notch. We got the D notch in here now. So anyhow, we were looking at it and we said, well, I feel like we need to square in, you know, kind of square up the frame just to give it some strength back, because we're going from, what is that, 5.5 inch frame to like a 2.5 inch, somewhere in there. So we took a couple inches out of it. We just want it to be nice and strong, because obviously this thing's gonna be towing trailers. Right here, this is a Milwaukee box, nice little template we got. That's that CAD, cardboard aided design. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this out with the plasma cutter, and then we'll actually weld it in. So we'll have a nice notched and boxed unit. The other thing too is that that little notch, it has a little hole in it, came pre-built with a little spot for bump stop. So we'll go ahead and we will reinstall the bump stop.
Probably
maybe we'll probably take like an inch or so out of the bump stop, just so where, you know, if it does end up bumping and stopping, it's not gonna mess with it. So yeah, we just got to transfer this thing over to a sheet of metal and then start cutting. Who's gonna do it? Oh, is it the 2 out of the 3? Okay. I won.
So you have to do it?
Well, I get to choose who does it.
Oh, okay.
All right, you do it.
All right. I don't like that.
It's all mental.
Yeah. Buddy, get a shot.
Wow. Well, it didn't fall out, so that's not a good sign. Loopy.
how's your spirit today?
Spirit's great. Always
Can
great.
you sync the audio for us? Give us a nice little hand clap.
What is this? Why is this a new thing that we never done
Just
before?
give us a clap. Ready? 2, yep.
How fast?
Yep, right there.
We got spirit, yes we do. We got spirit, how about you? What?
Beautiful.
What-
All right.
Can you tell me
So
what is
now we're over here. We got this thing all boxed in. Everything's all good on the back side. Sean welded this side. I welded that side. So this side of the truck is gonna be a little bit stronger than that side of the truck.
Well, we also played with the welder every 3-inch bead here to get it where it was perfect.
Make sure it was
on that side.
all the settings were good. So right here, this whole kit that we had, it bolted down. And from the factory, this perch is actually welded. So our concern now is she's going to twist, you know, with all the torque that this unit's going to make for 6-liter power stroke, towing a trailer. So what we're actually going to do is weld this little plate there on the bottom once we have the pinion angle figured out. So as soon as the pinion angle is figured out, we're going to weld those things so they can't twist. It actually kind of adds a little dual purpose because we have this overload spring.
Yeah,
you want to
so
show us?
We want to probably use it just because it's lowered and you know obviously it's a dually and needs it probably. So
Yeah.
we're gonna plow that there.
So we have an overload spring right here, so it'll go on top of the axle, kind of where it used to be. We also have a decent amount of clearance right here. The
There's
truck,
no weight on
there's
it.
no weight on it, so it will sag a little bit and get to that point. Also, look at that. We have a little bump stop right there, which is really nice. And then this fella right here, we'll go down, we'll drill a hole, bolt it in. Everything's gonna be good to go. We stick the bed on this unit, and then
Send it.
we take a look at it and say, golly, that thing is freaking pretty. So that's our plan. So Sean's gonna go ahead and continue with that, figuring some things out. We'll go from there. All right, so we have a brand new employee up front as well, Eric with a hat. I've never seen Eric with a hat. How do you feel with a hat?
Completely different. Whole
You-
new person.
You look completely different.
stop breaking stuff
That's exactly what that means.
The old Eric
was the
broke
goal.
stuff without a hat. Now the new Eric with a hat doesn't break things. Right here we have the new shocks. So these are a little bit shorter than the factory ones. Obviously this thing's been lowered a little bit. So we'll go ahead and stick those fellas in. Be good to go.
Yeah.
This is what your floor looks like.
Hello?
He doesn't do a single thing without messing it up, making a mess, like breaking something. He doesn't do anything correct. Look, he's got all this, and he puts them right there.
That's all we have.
Jesus Christ.
All right, pinion angle has been corrected. We welded these things in so the axle won't twist when you're under load or acceleration. We need a little bit longer bolts to get the overload springs to go back on here. And then you can kind of see right here, we have the bump stop and all that. Went ahead, put some paint on this thing and should be good to go. So nothing left, but now we just gonna stick the bed on it and then stick the wheels on it. And then we get to look at it and say, golly, that thing looks freaking pretty.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, so there we have it. The truck is officially fully lowered. The DJM Dream Beams on the front with the axle flip kit in the rear. We kind of cleaned this thing up, washed it up a little bit. Went ahead and put some satin black stuff on the tires so they look all fresh and clean. You can see this gap. I mean, at the beginning of this video, I could shove my whole head in there, and right now, you can't stick your head in there. The front looks really good. Now the back is just a smidge higher than the front, but I think once we get the trailer on it, obviously we want this thing to be able to tow, but it's just crazy how high the rear of this thing actually was. But now, you know, when you go, we took off the side steps, you don't even need the side steps, you pretty much just hop in the truck like that. It's really pretty nice. Overall, I am really stoked on it. The next thing we need to do with this thing is actually go and film a couple more ads for this thing, because as you guys know, this is our current giveaway, which goes until the end of the month with the truck, the trailer, and the BMW. We have some transformation that we need to do on the BMW as well. We need to paint the hood, the front bumper, the front fascia, and all the other stuff. Some of you guys might have seen that already in the slush video, but we already had these wheels on it when we went up there, but we didn't have it lowered, and man, it just looks so freaking cool. So we're gonna go ahead and take this thing out on the road, get some rollers with it, and really just try to showcase how freaking cool this thing is. I'm so stoked on it.